Hello, it's Randi Rhodes. Here's a clip from our show, and go to randyrhodes.com for the whole thing and a podcast. Buy a stinking podcast.
Mary had a little man.
The fall. We believe that all men are created equal.
To the magnificent mosaic that is America.
From radio beacon to radio beacon. I have a dream today. Change has come to America.
Believe me.
Knock, knock. Who's there?
It's a figment of your imagination.
Randi Rhodes Show.
Turn up your
The new unemployment numbers just in, weekly jobless claims. They paint a full, grim picture of the last 2 months. CNN chief business correspondent Christine Romans with the breaking details. Romans.
2 months of pandemic layoffs totaling 36.5 million layoffs or furloughs. Last week, another 2.981, just a remarkable number. Again, these numbers have been slowing a little bit each week, but are still devastatingly big numbers. And when you look within these numbers, you see retail layoffs, hotel, restaurants, bars. The Fed chief yesterday giving this statistic that of the households in February that were earning $40,000 a year or less, 40% of those households lost a job in March. And those job losses have continued pretty steadily here, John.
So, the new number for the last week is plus 3 million lost jobs. They don't know what the unemployment rate is. They say it could be anywhere from 18 to 24% because so many people are having such a hard time filing their claims. And then today, we finally heard from the man that I've been telling you to watch for his testimony, Dr. Rick Bright from BARDA, which is the Biomedical Advanced Research and Development Authority, which most Americans don't even know exists, inside of the Department of the National Institutes of Health and the Department of Health and Human Services. And this man lost his job along with a lot of other people and decided to file a whistleblower complaint. And so today he was testifying under, we don't even know. I mean, they were so disorganized today. The Republicans objecting. Is this a whistleblower hearing? Is this an oversight hearing? Swear in the way. You don't need to swear in any way. Lying to Congress is a crime. We all know that, okay? Just ask the whole Trump administration. But, we would be much better off if not only the 36 million unemployed had their jobs back, but if Rick Bright had his job back, his original job. Now, he was transitioned out of BARDA and given a lesser position over at the National Institutes of Health. And he, actually, we found out during this hearing, is ill himself. He has hypertension. He's got very, very high blood pressure due to stress from watching his entire life's work being squandered and frittered away by the Trump loyalists, by the Cult 45 death cult, by the branch COVIDians that are inside the Trump administration, and by Donald Trump's lies. Just trashing this man's entire life's work, sort of like Anthony Fauci, too, watching 40 years of his efforts, doing things like curing AIDS and coming up with a vaccine for, H1N1, swine flu, and, influenza vaccines, all kinds of stuff. So he lost his job as the director of the Biomedical Advanced Research and Development Authority because he basically refused to use it as a front for Donald Trump's organized crime, which, oh God, I just hope and pray will be prosecuted under the RICO Act once he leaves. This is what I've been saying all along. This is a racketeering, influenced, corrupt organization. The Trump administration is. It's sort of like, think about, it's worse than waste management. Waste management, they use their stuff as fronts for mob enterprises, but at least they pick up the trash, you see. Donald Trump uses his organization as a front for his organized crime, but he is the trash. Let's put it that way. He is the trash. It would be like if the mob took over the American Cancer Society. So let's begin now with, some of Rick Bright's opening statement, because while he is calm, cool, and collected, and very, very professional, and non-dramatic, He did not mince words.
We are facing a highly transmissible and deadly virus which not only claims lives but also disrupts the very foundations of our society. The American healthcare system is being taxed to the limit. Our economy is spiraling downward, and our population is being paralyzed by fear, stemming from a lack of a coordinated response and a dearth of accurate, clear communication about the path forward. Americans yearn to get back to work, to open their businesses and to provide for their families. I get that. However, what we do must be done carefully and with guidance from the best scientific minds. Our window of opportunity is closing. If we fail to improve our response now, based on science, I fear the pandemic will get worse and be prolonged. There will be likely a resurgence of COVID-19 this fall. It'll be greatly compounded by the challenges of seasonal influenza. Without better planning, 2020 could be the darkest winter in modern history.
Holy crap, man. I told you, I had his opening statement, and that is it. That is part of it. You couldn't have timed this better with the, Game of Thrones. This is so unbelievable. My main complaint is that Game of Thrones should have had its finale tonight. You know what I mean? It's like time it just a little bit. But, to watch a TV show about a society that completely collapses because of a sadistic and insane ruler at the exact time that it's actually happening, just might be too jarring. And that's where we are. Game of Thrones maybe was a good warm-up for the Donald Trump administration and of course they didn't have a Trump character. I mean, they got King Jeffrey. He was a nasty little turd, but Jared is more like a bland, infuriating turd. So there's really no Trump character, because who wants to watch, a show about an evil dimwit that actually could, bring on the winter? I mean, it's so sad. This testimony of his was exactly what I thought it would be. It was earth-shattering. It was informative. It made you livid. If you watched it and you didn't have a pit in your stomach, you didn't get the ooty-gots, like that feeling you get when you have to crush a giant cockroach, like the ooty-gots. If you didn't have a stomach flip, okay, watching this man, you're not human. But I don't know how many people actually watched him. This is the other part of his opening statement.
Without better planning, 2020 could be the darkest winter in modern history. First and foremost, we need to be truthful with the American people. Americans deserve the truth. The truth must be based on science. We have the world's greatest scientists. Let us lead. Let us speak without fear of retribution. We must listen. Each of us can and must do our part now. On Tuesday, Dr. Fauci delivered a message in a voice that is clear and trustworthy as he encouraged us to act with caution as we return to our daily lives. We should listen to him and other scientists sharing their expertise. While waiting for a cure and a vaccine, which I believe will come, there are things we must do immediately. We must increase the public education about the basics: washing hands, social distancing, appropriate face covering. They're simple but critical steps to buy valuable time until there's vaccine. We need to ramp up production of essential equipment and supplies, including raw materials and critical components. Shortages of these increase the risk of our frontline healthcare workers, and they deserve the best equipment to protect themselves. We need to facilitate equitable distribution of essential equipment and supplies. And finally, we need a national testing strategy. The virus is here. It's everywhere. We need to be able to find it, isolate it, and stop it. We need to have the right testing for everyone who needs it. We need to be able to trace contacts, isolate, quarantine, and appropriately while striving to develop a cure. Initially, our nation was not as prepared as we should have been, as we could have been. Some scientists raised early warning signals that were overlooked, and pages from our pandemic playbook were ignored by some in leadership.
Great. Go to RandiRhodes.com for the whole thing and a podcast. Buy a stinking podcast.